So this is Putin's like doomsday weapon, the one a lot of people have been talking about lately. Let's check this out, guys. As always, if you want to learn more about preparedness and survival, that's what I do here. You have a ton of information on the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. You will have the link at the end of the video also to click on. Surviving the Economic Collapse and Street Survival Skills. These are the books that will help you get a lot better prepared. Bugging Out and Relocating, also a book very relevant, given everything happening all over the world, considering Plan B in case where you are is no longer viable as a safe location. All of that in Amazon, following the links in the description of this video. So, Putin unveils terrifying new nuclear submarine built to carry doomsday weapon capable of unleashing radioactive tidal wave. Okay, so a bunch of things here in terms of the radioactive. First of all, keep in mind, Russia is famous for having done things. Not only Russia, many countries in the past have done weapons that don't make a whole lot of sense. I think it was Germany that made a tank that could really never go anywhere. It was so big and so heavy that it would just get stranded anywhere it tried to move. So it's not that every weapon they make is the brightest thing ever. Carrying underwater weapons and robotic systems, it will enable us to successfully secure Russia's maritime border and protect national interests. So the idea is, this is a weapon that detonates a 2 kiloton nuke, is it? And causes like a tsunami, all right? That's what you're basically looking at here. So you have the nuclear warhead, collision avoid sonar. The idea is to trigger this thing in the coast, and this makes like a giant tsunami that causes devastating damage. 10,000 ton display. No figure has been given. The cost of the submarine, which has 10,000 tons displacement, will be in excess of 1 billion. I think there was some data there in terms of the how many kilotons of this submarine launched 5 years late due to repeated unexplained delays. Honestly, this is Russia, guys. It wouldn't be a surprise if this is just a model and really nothing else. The idea itself is extremely stupid. Why? Well, first of all, the concept of a weapon that is only effective in coastal cities, that is just already a massive limit that it has. You can only, it's like fucking, this is the Aquaman of nuclear weapons. Yeah, it can only trigger explosions. And the idea of the radioactive wave, with the amount of water that you have and the amount of actual nuclear material that you have, and also, so as to these are, I mean, I'm not a nuclear scientist, but this is really not all that complicated. Nuclear weapons are intended to make a massive explosion. That much you understand, right? Right. You understand that there's a massive difference between that and what happens when there's a nuclear power plant problem, an accident, an industrial accident, even like in Fukushima, where you had the nuclear power plant fail and collapse, and because of the flooding water, they could not cool the reactor, and or Chernobyl, where it just burned, and all of it is an enormous amount of radioactive material that is not exploding into a bomb, but it's just leaking into the atmosphere. That is the main reason why in Nagasaki, you have Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you have people living there, and it's actually safe to live in a place where a nuclear explosion took place about 2 weeks later, right? Not the same thing when you have a nuclear accident, where you have all of this material without going into fusion, without going into becoming energy, and it's just leaking and contaminating. Here, if you have a massive, it's either one or the other. You either have a massive explosion, or you have all of this stuff just leaking and throwing radiation all over the place. Which one is it? Oh, it's going to be a little bit of both. Okay, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it doesn't. But first of all, the idea of limiting yourself, why is it that no one else did this? Why is it that everyone, if you look at the 5,000 weapons, the 5,000 nukes that the United States has and Russia has, kind of like the same number, give or take, it's all missiles. It's all something that can, and usually you're looking at detonating it on above the city, not on a ground, right? Not blowing up in the ground. You want to have maximum area of damage. You're going to detonate that thing in the air. That's always going to be far more effective in causing the greatest amount of damage. Here you're looking at detonating it in the water and just going with the wave. All right, it's just like the coastal part, but it's going to be a big-ass tsunami. I mean, it's just stupid. Honestly, it's just a stupid idea. Nuclear reactor gives the weapon essentially unlimited range. All right, so it can hit anywhere, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's really, so who cares? The moment he fires a weapon is the moment in which Russia ceases to exist, as they will be hit with such an overwhelming nuclear firepower that regardless of how many nuclear weapons they fire, they will be utterly destroyed. United States can utterly destroy Russia. France has 290 nukes, 290 nuclear weapons. That's what the French have in their control. Not only that, the French have one of the more efficient and well-oiled machinery in terms of their military. It is not as massive as the United States, but they're definitely good at what they do, and they do it very well. They've been humiliated in the past, and France has decided it will not happen again. The French military is not something to take lightly. And with 290 nuclear weapons, that is over... Dude, it's St. Petersburg and Moscow. Other than that, everything is less than... It's around 1 million population in most cities. With just 10% of that, you have enough to destroy anything worth destroying in Russia. France alone. You really are looking to deploy this thing exactly where? Piss off who is it? Well, what about in the coast of what? What main city is it that you're planning? Oh, in UK. UK has its own nuclear weapons. They're not going to respond to this if they get, London blown with this thing? It just makes no sense. It is more of the saber-rattling, fear-mongering, and yes, there is a strategic value of, scaring people into not messing with you, but it's only up to certain points. If you think that this is going to spare you from incursions in countries, dude, you could not deal with Ukraine. You've been pushed back from the land you had over 10 years ago. Over a decade ago, you had more than you have now. In spite of all of it keeps on gaining. Yeah, but you look at it and the amount of gain compared to the amount lost, there's really, you cannot deal with Ukraine. You're going to deal with what? The rest of the world? I just don't see it happening. But hey, you're supposed to be scared about this, so we're talking about it, and people have asked it. So there's my take on the Doomsday nuclear sub-weapon from the Russians. See you next time. Take care.